Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to integrate ChatGPT with Salesforce. I'm going to use a fun example. I like comedy, so I've created 4 contacts with comedians' names in them, and I've created a little Lightning Web component that tells you a joke in their style. And I can click another joke and it will tell you a joke in that comic style using ChatGPT. I can go to another comedian and it will spit out a joke in their style as well, and I can ask for as many jokes as I like in their style, some of which are pretty good jokes. So let's have a look at how we did this. As you know, ChatGPT has released their APIs recently. If you go to this link, which I'll put on the description of the video, you can actually generate your own API key. So let me show you in Postman what the request would look like. On your header, you'd have an authorization key with your bearer and the key which you copied from your OpenAI account. Content type will be JSON. Your body will then contain JSON with a property called model, which is GPT 3.5 Turbo, and your messages will have an array of these properties: role, user, content, with what you want to ask ChatGPT. So I've basically asked ChatGPT to tell me a Jerry Seinfeld joke, and it's returned this string. This is the endpoint we're using, and we are posting to the endpoint. I've gone and edited the contact record page. I've added the Lightning Web component on the right of the detail section, and I've put some component visibility. If the contacts department is comic, it shows the component. Don't forget, I've also added api.openapi.com to the remote site settings so I can hit the API from Apex. So let's look at the Apex class which I've created to connect to the endpoint. I've created an OpenAI chat class which has an already enabled method called complete chat. It takes in a string called prompt, which is the prompt that we're going to use to ask ChatGPT, and an integer parameter for refreshing. We create a new HTTP request, set the endpoint to the endpoint which we had in Postman. Now we have a post method. We make sure the content type is set to application JSON in the header, and we set the authorization header to bearer concatenated with my key that I had on my account in OpenAI. Request body here is exactly the same as what you saw on Postman. I just parameterized the content that I sent ChatGPT to the prompt, which is the first parameter of the method, and I set the request body to the body which I've generated here. I instantiate a new HTTP and a HTTP response and assign it to me sending that request which I just created. If I get a successful response from OpenAI, I deserialize the JSON into a response class which has a choices array. The choice type has a message in it. The message type has content in it. So the class structure basically replicates what we saw in the response in Postman. I then return response.choices0.message.content.trim. If you look at the response, that structure lines up with the JSON which we returned when we used Postman. If there's an error, then I just throw a new callout exception. So let's move on to the Lightning Web component. I have a Lightning card, and the main components are a paragraph which contains the joke which ChatGPT returns, and I have a button which requests another joke and calls another joke click method in the controller. If we go to the JavaScript controller, I've imported full name there from the schema. I have imported the complete chat method from the Apex class. I'm getting the full name of the contact. This is the record ID of the actual record that I'm on. This is a JavaScript variable holding the joke. This is a parameter that ensures that the joke refreshes when I click on the button. Then use the wired getRecord method to get the contact that I'm on so that I can get the full name. Then I have a property get method which basically gives me a string that says tell me a joke in the style of comedian, and then it gets the full name of the contact, and that string is what I'm going to send ChatGPT. I then create a wired joke function, passing the prompt which I created up here, and passing a isRefreshing integer, just to make sure that when I press the button it refreshes the joke. It then calls the method and gets the data from the method. The method returns the joke. This is the code that runs when I click the button. I'm basically just adding 1 to isRefreshing so that the white joke function reruns. I've obviously targeted this Lightning Web component to be on Lightning record pages, so I could add it on the contact page in Lightning App Builder. That's how simple it is to integrate to ChatGPT from Salesforce. If you liked the video, hit like, please subscribe so you can get any of my further updates. Hope you liked the jokes.